Hiya! Welcome back to another episode of matching my makeup to my earrings, and today I've got these gorgeous blue and purple fairy mystical earrings that I honestly have been wanting to use in this series for quite some time now. So let's get into it. I've applied some primer like usual, and I'm going in with my white face paint stick. I'm just applying that everywhere that there's a natural highlight, or there would be a highlight. Also removing the cat hairs that have managed to get into my makeup, because that is just unavoidable when you live with pets. And then I'm just going to quickly blend that in. I'm using a brush that is slightly blue from another look, and that's fine because there's blue in the earrings, so it helps really. It means I don't have to add any blue into the base there, it just adds that tone in. From the Made by Mitchell colour case now, I'm going in with this purple, and I'm going to pop that in all of the shadow areas, so anywhere I might contour in a normal makeup look. And this is the first time I've used this colour case, and the pigment and the formula is, honestly, it's gorgeous to work with. You have to warm it up on the back of your hand just to activate it per se, and then it's so creamy. This is my first mistake though. I don't know why I'm using the round paddle brush. I never really liked it before, so I don't know why I'm using it now. As you can see, it removes the pigment quite a lot, so it's still slightly purple, don't get me wrong, and I do add more so it becomes more purple, but yeah, I should have realised here that I needed to switch brush. Anywho, moving on, I'm slightly contouring my nose using the brush that came with the palette, and on my, where's that? My jawline, that's what it is, it's my jawline. I'm just slightly feathering that out with that brush. Which is, I mean, with that brush, it looks so much nicer. Some of the pigment stays, it doesn't look like a blank space like my forehead does now. I may redo this look because I can see several ways in which I can improve it now. So going in on all of where I would use a highlighter product, I'm using this, I'm in love with this blue. It's so vibrant. All of the pigments in this case are so vibrant. I'm just popping that quite liberally everywhere. Don't mind that bit of unblended purple on my jawline there. Do notice it in a little bit, and I will blend it out. So I'm just, painting this blue on, and then tapping out with my finger. I'm going to tap most of this out with my finger rather than using a brush, just so that the colour doesn't spread, but that it does have a blurred effect on the edges and sort of seem to blend a little bit more seamlessly. I'm almost working the product into my skin with this tapping rather than buffing it out, so it's still as vibrant and pigmented as when I lay it down on my face. There we are, noticing the purple, and we'll sort that out quickly. I always end up with just unexplained patches of pigment when I do makeup looks. I am quite a messy, clumsy person by nature, so I have to work with that when I'm doing my makeup looks. So I'm taking that purple and I'm running it through my crease and out past my eyebrow in sort of a dramatic wing, connecting that into the blue space there on my temple. I didn't want to do too much eyeshadow wise because I knew that my plan was to add some graphic eyeliner and play around with that sort of thing on my face, so I didn't want to take away from that here. So I'm just using the two colours already on my face the purple to give me quite a nice opened out, make my eyes look a bit bigger than they are. I think if you followed me, you'll see that I had a lash lift recently, and that really helps make my eyes look bigger. So now I'm going in with that blue and I'm giving myself, drawing in a new crease. And I'm going higher than where my crease lies naturally because I've got quite hooded eyes and I need to overdraw so that you can still see the pigment. So I'm tilting my head so I can see the entirety of that lid space and just following along the shape of the purple wing that I've given myself, using that as a guide. And then I'll fill in that entire lid space. Doing it on the other side too. Matchy matchy. And this really is just like painting on the face with this product. Really easy to use. And a lot of blendability time. It doesn't dry down instantly, so you have a lot of time to work it into what you need. Going in with a liner brush now, small detail brush, and starting from where the purple contour is on my nose, I'm going to draw up and round in a sort of butterfly spiral, using all of my concentration not to mess up this line work, and going so slowly. I don't have the steadiest hand, so I really am making sure not to mess it up here. I'm dipping back in, and then I'll just follow that same line that I've created for myself and thicken it up a little bit. And now we'll try and copy it on the other side. Matching and making things symmetrical is not my forte. I like to say that everything I do is sisters, not twins. And I think that makes things look a little bit more natural. You can tell that I have hand drawn this. I am finding the more I do line work like this, I don't want to say easier it becomes, because it is still quite difficult, but I am finding it easier, for lack of a better word there. So I've just dried off my upper lip area there. We are going through a slight heat wave in the UK, so filming under my lights was quite a warm ordeal. So I've dried off my upper lip and applied some of my white foundation there. And now I'm just tracing where my next lines are going to go. I'm sort of trying to emulate the butterfly wings of my earrings in this light purple colour, which shows up white obviously on my blue and purple base. And again, I am taking this slow. Remember to take your time when you're doing precise work. And lines, I find it's easier to go little by little than try to drag the brush and do one swooping line all in one. Be aware as well that the contours of our face, we have so many slight little bumps that we may need to draw just a little part of a line and then connect and carry on and fill in gaps later. And that's all right. I found also that by tracing the lines that I was going to do beforehand, before even having any paint on my brush, that really helped me to visualize where the drawing was going to be. And I'm quite pleased with how it turned out. There we are. So I'm just going to go in now and connect that second wing to my lower lash line so that it doesn't look disjointed at all. We're going to try and copy that as best we can the other side. Once again, being slow and careful. And there we go. 2 pairs of wings on my eyes. So I'm going in with that light white colour on the outer part of my lash line there. And then I'm taking the blue pigment on the inner corner, just to connect that disjointed part of my eyes there. And then with the dotting tool, I'm just going to pop some purple dots in the top wing. I really love using a dotting tool. Before I was using the ends of my paintbrushes and everything, and while that worked, I now have a nice array of different sized dots. So expect to see a lot more dots in my looks from now on, because they're so much easier to do. This little simple touch just, I don't know, it just made me feel a little bit prettier. And then with the thin liner brush, I'm taking the blue pigment and drawing a small line through the bottom wing. This didn't change much, but in the pictures you can see a slight blue glow, and I think it's pretty. I just added a little something extra, you know? Speaking of something extra, I decided here that I would paint my eyelashes. So, much like with filling my waterline in, I took the blue pigment and popped that on half of my lashes, and then for the other half I popped purple on them. So both colours on my face, on my eyelashes. I don't think you can really tell that I've done that in the pictures, but I know, and so it was worth it. Now I could have stopped here, but I noticed that I have sort of like pearl-like droplets on the earrings, so I thought I could use these gems that I have and stick them all over my face. And I'm actually so glad I did, because I think without these, believe it or not, my face feels a little bit bare. So I'm just laying down the eyelash glue everywhere I want to put a gem. I laid it down everywhere because I needed it to get tacky before I can put a gem down. However, when it does dry, it's clear, so that means I was kind of having to search for the places I popped the glue down. I am glad I did this though, because even from popping the gems down on the first antenna, I knew that this was exactly what this look needed. It just added that little element of intrigue. And there we go. I didn't make you sit through all of that gem process. Here I am deciding I need even more. So I'm going to go up my forehead just a little bit. And this sort of emulates in, like, you know, when you would draw butterflies as a child and it would just be a line for the body. That's what those gems in the middle are to me. So I'm just painting my lips blue, and I'm going to add a purple lip line to it. Not going too crazy with the lips. I forgot to mention my second mistake in that I didn't add any powder to my base. I feel like if I'd added some purple powder, especially on my forehead and my cheekbones, the colours would have popped so much more. But like I say, I'm probably going to do this one again, so keep an eye out for that in the future. We'll see. I am so glad that I recently purchased some Q-tips that are slightly angled at the end, because I made a complete mess of doing these lips. So yeah, this angled Q-tip really came in handy tidying up. I could get right into my Cupid's bow along the edges of my lips so accurately. Top purchase. I recommend. And this is just me going in and whitifying everywhere that I've just wiped off. Just tidying up my mess and my mistakes, which is much of what my makeup looks are. Very much a trust the process thing. So thank you for trusting my processes if you have joined me. And there we go, finally popping on those final gems there. And the last thing to do after this will be just to make the rest of my neck the same as my face so that it's not so jarring. And that just means taking my white face paint stick, which, I'm so glad I got this, using the little pan of white that came with my, I think it's CC Beauty face painting palette before I got this to do my body. It was just a painstaking process, so this makes it 100 times quicker. Just whack it on and then rub it in. And I did go back to this brush that I said that I don't like, just because I needed to match the same opaqueness of the rest of my face. Yeah, next time I do this, I will definitely be using a different brush to rub in my pigments and blend. Thank you, there's the proper jargon. And I'll also remember to use some powder to make those pigments pop. Yeah, just adding some contour, just a little bit, not going too crazy. And then I'll add some white highlights as well. Blend, blend, blend. As you know by now, it's all in the blending. And I feel like it should be done, but something's missing. So just hold on a second while I find a sparkly lip gloss. And that is the look. Honestly, like it was a ride to get here to the end, but I really am in love with the final product. I can't wait to try it again, remedy those mistakes that I made, but that's what art is. It's always a work in progress, isn't it? As ever, thank you for being here to the end, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!